Hello and welcome to the Claret and Blue podcast. I'm still buzzing after Celtic, which was last night as we record this. Our post-match show went until almost 1 a.m, so didn't get much sleep. Early start again. John, have you recovered from last night?
Yeah, I'm okay at the moment. I mean, when this video goes out, I may
You'll be in bed.
Wait. Yeah, I finished at 4 a.m. last night, which was well worth it though. Like, Villa finishing the top eight of the Champions League, like, sound. That's fine. To be honest, as the results came in during the match, I was pretty content and happy because Milan had fallen behind and had a man sent off. So I thought, okay, that's that done. Not done, but we've got a great chance here if we just win. And then Lille scored 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, and I thought, hold on, they're above us now, which means obviously Atalanta only had to get their goal. So in the end, a fantastic night, really memorable. I just won't forget the kind of noise at Villa Park as the players come out. Very similar to Bayern, I thought, Dan, in terms of the atmosphere. At the start of the game, I think it quieted down a little bit during the second half as well, because everyone's checking their phones, which is, rightly so as well, because that was the important part. Fantastic. Last 16 now. We can kind of relax a little bit on this.
Put our feet up, during February, from a Champions League perspective.
Yeah, dine out on it a little bit. I always like to watch and spectate other games that don't directly influence us, but will do in the future. I don't know how to explain it. Kind of essentially watch other fans and teams struggle, like to get to where we are. If that makes sense. It's
those peasants who have got to get to the big round of 16 like us.
Exactly. Yeah.
Obviously, as everybody knows, Villa go straight through to the round of 16, which means they avoid the two-legged knockout playoff round, which is being played on, I think, the 11th and 12th of February, and the following week, the 18th and the 19th. This is like a turning point. This is the second half of the season now, because things will look different from February onwards, from personnel, competitions that we're still in, how everything unfolds from here. There's a link in the description to UEFA's kind of Champions League new format, where they've got some graphics that lay out the tournament brackets and how the knockout phase works. We don't have permission to use those, so I've done graphics on my own. They're not as good, but they serve the same purpose. For those watching, you'll see those in a second. If you want to kind of go by UEFA's standards, there is a link. You can click on that and kind of listen along whilst we talk through some of it. We know that it's going to be one of Dortmund, Atalanta, Bruges or Sporting. They have to play each other in the knockout round, but we don't yet know who they're playing against, do we? I thought it was just 9 plays 24, 10 plays 23, and it was simple. But those 4 teams on Friday, tomorrow, they'll be drawn against each other. Specifically, what side of the bracket they're on means who their opponent is. Is that correct? Yeah,
so it'll be the seeded teams in that bracket. So Dortmund and Atalanta, who finished just behind Villa, they will play either Bruges or Sporting. So I think in this kind of context, when we do this video, we'll speak about those teams specifically to kind of help understand what's going to happen. So we can probably, not to rule out those sides, but Dortmund or Atalanta would clearly be the favourites to win those games. So, it's likely that Villa would play either Dortmund or Atalanta, but we won't know, obviously, which side of the draw we're on until the draw on February the 21st. So after these league phase games, after the knockout games are played. So on Friday, as you say, Dan, it will be the case of they know who they're playing. So it might be Dortmund against Club Brugge, Sporting against Atalanta. Villa will play one of those, the winner of one of those 2 ties, but we won't know which tie we're playing, if that makes sense.
Part of the draw to work out who they're playing is that I'm just going to call it side A and side B. They know if they're on side A or side B, they'll play that game in middle of February. Villa will know it's going to be the winner of one of those games, but we don't know. Let's say Dortmund are side A. We won't know if we're on side A till the draw is done after those games have even finished. Yep. So we will know it'll become 4 opponents now, then it'll go down to 2, and then it'll go down to, okay, we're on Dortmund's side, so it's Dortmund. And we're with the Dortmund cluster of teams that also got through on side A. Side B, you can kind of forget about it in the same way a World Cup is, that the only way you're going to play a side B team is if you get all the way to the final. So you can kind of write off some teams, can't you, to a certain extent?
Yeah, if they're on opposite side, yeah.
So I've got this graphic that is now going to be on screen for those watching on YouTube, but obviously, a lot of our audience will only listen, so we are going to talk through this as well. What you could now see is a tournament bracket, effectively, including all the playoff rounds, the round of 16, the quarterfinal, semi-final and final in Munich 2025. Now, looking at it, it is a little bit confusing that there's duplicates of the club badges, that you're kind of in two sets of the tree. Like that feels wrong. So visually, if you consider that this graphic is split horizontally, the top half of the screen is side A and the bottom half of the side is side B. So Villa are at the bottom there and also at the top on this kind of makeshift graphic, because as of right now, we don't know what side we're on. When that draw is done, Villa won't be on this image twice. They'll be, you're inside A, you're at the top. Whoever is opposite us, Lille, they'd be inside B at the bottom. So we already know we won't be playing Lille because we've coupled with them.
Thank
Liverpool,
God.
Barcelona together, so we'll only play one of them because the other side will go to side B as well, etc., etc. For those that are watching, the graphic is now just side A, let's say. Let's forget about the bottom. Let's stop seeing duplicate badges because it is weird, it is confusing. So you can see the four kind of groups of the playoff games. We'll just talk about Villa's. Dortmund and Atalanta in the same box. Club Brugge and Sporting in the same box. Those teams, as of this video, have not yet been drawn. Friday, 31st of January, those opponents will know who's playing who. If it is Dortmund, Bruges, for example, Atalanta and Sporting would go to side B. Kind of forget about them. They're in the other side that Villa aren't in this kind of fantasy. So we would play the winners of Dortmund versus Bruges in the round of 16.
I saw a funny tweet. I don't have the username, so apologies for essentially nicking what you've tweeted. And it was that if Tyrone Mings didn't pick up the ball, that Villa would be obviously where Leverkusen and Atletico Madrid are. So really, the fact that, I mean, you could take it as kind of the Morgan Rogers situation as well. We didn't score against Juventus. Actually, it's helped us out. I mean, you could be, strange about it and say, yeah, but in the quarterfinal we could play Liverpool or Barcelona, but forget that. Round of 16, yeah, I'd welcome a game against Dortmund. Just firstly for the kind of occasion, but also they're not that good, Dortmund, this season. So yeah, I think they're actually in the bottom half of the Bundesliga, if I'm not mistaken. So that would be a great opportunity for us. I think Atalanta would be a very, very tricky game.
The final graphic I'm going to switch on screen is essentially a fake draw. I've just simplified it even further by getting rid of the 4 team options and narrow it down to potential winners and being shipped off to side A or side B. So this means absolutely nothing apart from just trying to understand the process a bit quicker. Brest versus PSG, the winner of that would play Barcelona. The two we've spoken about by chance, because I made this graphic earlier, Bruges versus Dortmund in the playoff round, the winner of that would face Villa. Man City, Bayern Munich, I mean, there's a big team going out immediately straight away there, would play Atletico Madrid in the round of 16, and Feyenoord versus Milan would play Inter Milan. Milan derby there potentially.
This is a fake draw, but interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it could be on opposite of pot A and pot B, which is what the whole point of the draw is from UEFA to work out the specifics. But seeing that as a simplified thing, you look at Dortmund, Bruges, Sporting, Atalanta. Let them play each other first and whittle it down even further. Villa play the winner of one of those 2 games, and then for a potential quarterfinal, providing the favourites get through, you're probably looking at Barcelona or Liverpool, depending on what side of the draw they're on. Absolutely getting way of ourselves here. Would you have a preference on playing a fellow Premier League team or Barcelona?
Barcelona. Every day of the week. Yeah. For first leagues, I think Liverpool are pretty good, but also in the Champions League, you don't want a kind of away day in Manchester or Liverpool or Liverpool. It's
it would be sweet out. Like, say we're drawing it. I don't think we can be because of the way it's already set up. But say we knock Arsenal out in the quarterfinals, like that would be pretty funny, wouldn't it? But
it would be, yeah.
Like the full experience of the Champions League, I want to be playing European sides, so I'd pick Barcelona too.
In an ideal world, it would. Yeah, ideally, you'd beat Dortmund in a round of 16. That would be fantastic. And then you play Barcelona and you go to the new camp. And wow. Incredible. I mean, just looking at that as it is now, Dan, like, I'm definitely getting ahead of myself. But
you're going to say only 3 games away from the final.
We've got a chance, I just feel like we can give a game to anyone, but 2 legs is a different ball game. I think when you play at Villa Park, you don't want to be 2 goals down. Maybe you're at home first or whatever. But yeah, just looking at something like Atletico, that's Inter, that they just don't concede goals. So Bayern, obviously, as well. So yeah, listen, we've got a lot of confidence going into the knockouts. That's the point. No, I'm not talking about the games that we'll play before we play round of 16, but in terms of the Champions League, we did well against Juve. Probably should have won. Beat Bayern, won at Leipzig, and we've had some really good nights. We know the atmosphere is almost unbeatable at Villa Park as well. So
yeah, for me, I'm now. I know we said this before about like going into this season, Champions League. Let's just try and enjoy it. And for the most part, it hasn't been enjoyable because we've had performances where we've not been good enough and have kind of scraped our way through and whatnot. But we are where we are in the Premier League. We are now in the round of 16, which is a great achievement. Better than some other English teams have done in recent seasons already. My pre-season prediction was the round of 16. Now, I thought we'd get there, as in like we'll go out at the round of 16. We'll get there, but I think we'll lose. I thought we'd get there via the playoffs. So we're already like one step ahead of where I thought we'd get to in like predict the season, top 5 in the round of 16. Like, yeah, I'd take that. So we're already kind of at that level. So whoever it is, I'm not saying, oh yeah, just go and lose 4-0 because I don't care. But like, if this is the end of the journey, the round of 16, and we're kind of like, oh, the quarterfinal, only 3 games to the final. Forget all that. Where we are now is a great place to be, and I hope that kind of just like, let's just give it a damn good go because like do you know what I mean? Like grasp the opportunity that is in front of you. Just never know what's going to happen. So whoever that game is, like Villa have got a great chance just because it's a kind of a bit of a shot to nothing, isn't it? Like you're here, experience it, go and do the best you can. If that's not quite enough, when you're playing in Europe's elite competition, like whoever we pick in this draw by the round of 16. There should be 16 pretty good teams left.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, and I don't want anyone to kind of take this the wrong way, but I'm not too fussed who we get in the round of 16 because I think we can beat any of them. As I think Atalanta would be a particularly difficult game, but all the other teams as well, Sporting, Bruges and Dortmund will also be difficult, of course. I just want Barcelona in the quarterfinal, as in, not that I'm looking to that game, but as in, I don't want to have Liverpool there. I just don't. I don't want it. I think Barcelona would be like a dream situation. So round of 16 draw, whatever happens. But I'm almost more interested in what would follow after that. Not thinking that we'll be fine and we'll get to the quarterfinals. Not thinking that at all. We may just get knocked out, as you said, Dan. But it would be nice to have the kind of carrot of, oh my God, we go to the new camp if we get through this, rather than we played Liverpool. And I know it's a Champions League quarterfinal, and again, it's a different thing, and it's the Champions League, but it's nothing new, and it doesn't quite fill me with the same. I'm not going to lie, like Champions League quarterfinal is incredible, but that compared to what you could have had in Barcelona would have, me anyway. I just think that would be a dream situation, and also just in terms of like, not to kind of think too deeply about it, but in years to come, it'll be like we played Barcelona and, who knows, maybe we beat them. But do you know what I mean? There's more like a lure and there's more kind of...
It's more kind of like the magic of the European Cup, isn't it? To nick the FA Cup's catchphrase. That a quarter-final home and away at Villa Park and Anfield would be an occasion. Of course it would. Yeah. But like you take away the occasion, which is only realistically a small part of it. We've played Arne Slot already. We've played this group of players however many times over the years. We've played this specific team already this season. Like, it's not as kind of sexy, basically, as Barcelona, also, the Barcelona.
When we played Bayern Munich as well and we beat them, that like transcended. Like, that was worldwide news. That was in every continent. Everyone watched that game. Everyone was like, "Oh wow, Aston Villa won today." Like, that would be the same for Barcelona. I'm not saying we'd beat them, but us playing them in 2 games, by the way. The kind of the eyes that are on you there. I mean, it's a quarterfinal of the Champions League. There's going to be eyes on you. But Liverpool Villa is essentially a Premier League tie that will be played later in the season. Villa Barcelona may not be played for another, hopefully not, but decades.
When was the last time though? Was it the Super Cup in '83?
Yeah, and we could be in the Champions League for many years to come anyway, but not play them anyway. Do you know what I mean? It just feels like a great opportunity to play those teams that we wanted to play. Like, for example, if we had Real Madrid in the round of 16. I know I said earlier about like, we've actually got a good chance to get to the quarterfinal anyway. Yeah, bring it on. Like it doesn't, as you said, that you want to have these moments, and we just got to enjoy it for what it is. Because if we kind of go around thinking, we want to play Club Brugge in the round of 16, and then whatever may follow after that, and kind of plot an easier route, I think that's when the kind of competition can sort of be lost on you a little bit. You need to try and experience the best nights, because I think we're capable. So we beat Bayern. We've had some really good results. We've only lost 1 game because of a freak kind of mistake by Mings, unfortunately. So we did lose to Monaco as well, of course. That's kind of wiped from my memory because of what happened on Wednesday night. But yeah, I just think the quarterfinal against Barcelona, that's the one that I really want
Yeah, we're talking a lot about Liverpool and Barcelona, but the likelihood is one of those is going to face PSG, I would suggest, in the round of 16, and PSG could potentially win that. And then we're talking about a PSG quarter-final, but I would back Liverpool and Barcelona, to be honest.
Yeah. I think they are the best two, or they have been the best two teams. And if they are, Atletico Madrid and Inter Milan are pretty good as well. And obviously Real Madrid are Real Madrid. So, but no, it's really interesting. It's just nice to be among these things. And I don't know, in 2 years, if we're not in the Champions League, we'll look back at this and think like, wow, do you remember when we were around 16? And like, it's just incredible. You can't take this moment for granted. So, just savour it. Don't look too kind of far into the future or think, but the quarterfinal we might get knocked out. Just enjoy it. Those 2 games in the round of 16 will be something to behold.
As I said, there is a link to UEFA's website, the one that me and John have been looking at, recording this with some graphics and all the information about the dates and whatnot. You know, it's easier to go and read these things if you've missed it. Everything you need to know is on there. But we thought trying to wrap it up in a nice kind of tidy-ish podcast with a couple of graphics for those that are watching has hopefully been useful. Just to not necessarily, I'm not expecting people to be like, well, I learned something from that. Like, you can go and find this information yourself on UEFA's website or with a couple of Google searches, but just having the information in front of you and just us kind of talking through it, this is more just like a kind of pinch yourself moment. Look at where we are. Let's all drink this in together. Was the idea of doing this episode. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. We don't really need to think about the Champions League now until March or late February for the draw, I suppose. We won't play till March. We can keep an eye on the Bruges, Sporting, Atalanta, Dortmund games with one eye on all. We might be playing one of these, or we will be playing one of them. So we can kind of focus on the Premier League and the FA Cup for February, come back for the Champions League with a bang in the first couple of weeks of it and see what happens, basically. But Villa have already kind of reached my expectations for the Champions League, so I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, just as a side point, I was just quickly looking at the fixtures of Villa play for the round of 16. After the second leg of the round of 16, which will be at home, we then play Liverpool at home. So could be a situation where you can get through. We then play the team that we're playing in the quarterfinal. Yeah. It kind of adds to the whole give me Barcelona.
Something we forgot to talk about that we mentioned recently. The whole thing of if the Liverpool game gets postponed because of the Carabao Cup. Well, we're now in the round of 16, aren't we? So we will have a home game. Because we thought if we're in the playoffs, our last home game would be in February before that massive break. So international break and the Liverpool postponement potentially. Whereas we now have a home game in March. We could put everything into that second leg knowing that, we're not even playing at the weekend because the Liverpool game's been postponed.
Yeah. I'm very glad you brought it up.
And then it's international break.
I did a piece on that myself. I should have been aware of it. So we will play one match at home in March if Liverpool.
And it's Champions League home time.
Yeah, second leg. Wow. That's if Liverpool gets the Carabao Cup semi-final, which is quite likely. That's crazy, that is. In the month of March, we go to Villa Park possibly once.
After being there five games out of 6.
I mean, again, when that Liverpool match will be rescheduled, I don't know, but presumably that would be after the quarterfinals. Yeah, you make a good point there, Dan. Thanks for raising that, because that would have been not an inaccuracy for myself, but certainly an asterisk would be required. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good place to end this little podcast. John, thanks for joining me and walking through all the different bits and pieces. We're going to talk about prize money and whatnot as well, but Villa have banked a lot of cash, basically, is the bottom line. So that's good news. If you have enjoyed this video, do let us know. Get involved in the comments section across YouTube or Spotify and leave us a 5-star review if you want to on Apple Podcasts. That'd be greatly appreciated. We'll be back with our Wolves preview and post-match content in the next day or so. The Premier League grind continues, so focus back on that very shortly. Thanks everyone for watching along or listening to this episode of the Claret podcast, and we'll see you for Wolves.